The alarm bells echoed through the Nevada research facility as Dr. Elena Rodriguez stared at the impossible readings on her screen. The numbers defied everything she knew about physics. Her hands shook as she ran the calculations for the third time, hoping she had made an error. She had not. "Hey Elena, what's with all the noise?" asked Dr. Kevin Walsh, her research partner, as he rushed into the laboratory. His coffee mug was still steaming and his hair looked like he had just rolled out of bed. "Kevin, look at this." Elena pointed to the monitor showing energy output readings. "The gravitational field generator is producing stable space-time distortions at 60% power. That should be impossible." Kevin set down his coffee and leaned closer to the screen. His eyes widened as he processed the data. "This can't be right. The theoretical models said we would need at least 3 times more energy to create even minor distortions." Elena had been working on the project for 5 years. The military had given her team unlimited funding to develop new propulsion systems. Most scientists believed that faster-than-light travel required quantum tunneling through subspace, the same method aliens had used for thousands of years. But Elena had a different idea. She wanted to bend space itself. "Run a full diagnostic on all sensors," Elena said, her voice barely containing her excitement. "If these readings are accurate, we just broke the laws of physics." While Kevin worked on the diagnostics, Elena called Captain Jake Morrison at the test flight facility. Jake was the best pilot in the experimental division. He had flown more prototype ships than anyone alive. If they were going to test this technology, Elena trusted only Jake with the mission. "Jake, we need you at the lab immediately," Elena said into her secure phone. "Bring your flight gear." "What's the rush, Doc? Did you finally figure out how to make coffee that doesn't taste like motor oil?" "Jake, I'm serious. We may have achieved a breakthrough. A big one." 20 minutes later, Jake arrived at the facility. He was a tall man with short brown hair and calm blue eyes. Elena had worked with him on dozens of projects, and she knew he could handle anything they threw at him. "All right, Doc. What's got you so excited?" Jake asked as he entered the lab. Elena showed him the readings. Jake whistled softly as he studied the data. He might be a pilot, but he understood the science well enough to know what this meant. "You're telling me this little device can actually bend space?" Jake asked, pointing to the basketball-sized generator in the center of the lab. "Not just bend it," Kevin said, returning from his diagnostic work. "All sensors confirm the readings. We're creating a stable gravitational field that compresses space in front of it and expands space behind it. It's like the old Alcubierre drive theory, but it actually works." Elena felt a chill run down her spine. If they had really solved faster-than-light travel, everything would change. Humanity had been stuck in their solar system for decades while aliens traveled freely between stars. The alien species treated humans like children, offering limited technology in exchange for resources and obedience. "We need to build a ship-sized version immediately," Elena said. "Jake, how quickly can you prepare the Terra Nova for modification?" The Terra Nova was their latest experimental vessel. It was small, fast, and built to handle extreme conditions. More importantly, it had enough space for Elena's new drive system. "Give me 2 weeks to strip out the old engines and install whatever you need," Jake replied. "But Elena, are you sure about this? If we're wrong, I could end up scattered across 3 star systems." "The math is solid," Elena assured him. "Besides, we'll start with short jumps inside the solar system before attempting anything ambitious." Over the next 2 weeks, Elena's team worked around the clock. They built a drive system 10 times larger than their laboratory prototype. The new device filled most of the Terra Nova's engine compartment. Kevin handled the computer systems while Elena focused on the gravitational field generators. Jake spent his time learning how to operate the new controls. The alien monitoring stations scattered throughout the solar system detected unusual energy signatures during their tests. The Xanthari science vessels had been watching human activities for years, but they had never seen anything like these readings. Most alien scientists dismissed the data as equipment malfunctions. After all, humans were barely capable of interplanetary travel. The idea that they could develop advanced FTL technology was laughable. On test day, Elena stood in the Terra Nova's small bridge next to Jake. The ship hummed with power as the new drive system came online. Through the viewports, she could see Earth growing smaller as they moved away from the planet. "Drive system shows green across the board," Jake reported. "All gravitational field generators are stable. Computer has plotted a course to Proxima Centauri." "That's over 4 light years away," Elena said. Are you sure we should attempt such a long jump on our first try? Doc, if this thing works like your calculations say it should, distance doesn't matter much. We'll either arrive in a few hours or we'll know real quick that something went wrong. Elena took a deep breath and nodded. Engage the drive. Jake pressed the activation button. The ship shuddered for a moment as space-time warped around them. The stars outside began to shift and stretch. Elena watched the navigation display as their speed climbed beyond anything previously achieved by human technology. 3 hours later, they arrived at Proxima Centauri. The journey that should have taken 3 days using conventional alien FTL drives had been completed in a fraction of the time. Elena stared at the red dwarf star through the viewport, hardly believing what they had accomplished. Elena, Jake said quietly, do you realize what this means? She did realize. Humanity had just leapfrogged thousands of years of alien technological development. They had created something that challenged the basic assumptions about how the universe worked. The implications were staggering. We need to keep this quiet for now, Elena said. If the aliens learn what we've achieved, they might not react well to the news. Unknown to Elena and Jake, their test flight had been detected by monitoring stations across 3 star systems. The energy signatures were unlike anything in the alien databases. Deep in space, automatic communication systems began sending urgent messages to the Galactic Council headquarters. Humanity had just announced its arrival as a major technological power, whether they knew it or not. The emergency session alert echoed through the massive halls of Kepler Prime Station. Ambassador Kixvel of the Zenthari Empire hurried through the corridors, his forearms gesturing frantically as he spoke into his communication device. In 300 years of diplomatic service, he had never seen the council convene so quickly. Yes, Supreme Chancellor. The readings are confirmed, Kixvel said into his device. Multiple monitoring stations detected the same energy signatures. The humans have achieved something unprecedented. The council chamber was a vast circular room designed to accommodate representatives from 12 different species. Each delegation had their own section adapted to their biological needs. The Zenthari preferred dim lighting and high humidity. The crystalline shard collective required special platforms that could support their weight. The gaseous nebula mines needed containment fields to maintain their form. Ambassador Zeph-9 of the Andromedan Republic floated into the chamber using their species' natural levitation abilities. Unlike Kixvel, Zeph-9 moved calmly and deliberately. The Andromedans had always taken a measured approach to galactic politics. The session will come to order, announced Council Speaker Thane Alpha, a member of the ancient Void Walker species. Thane Alpha had overseen council sessions for over 5 centuries, and had never seen the representatives so agitated. Kixvel activated the holographic display at the center of the chamber. The images showed energy readings, star charts, and trajectory calculations. The data painted a clear picture of human technological advancement that should have been impossible. Honored council members, Kixvel began, his voice echoing through the translation systems. 3 days ago, human vessels achieved faster-than-light travel using completely unknown principles. Their drive system produces energy signatures that exceed our most advanced technologies. Delegate Ramkar of the Varrock hegemony leaned forward in his chair. The Varrock were a militaristic species that had dominated several star systems through superior technology and tactics. Ramkar's scarred face showed the concern he felt about this development. How is this possible? Ramkar demanded. Human civilization is barely 300 years old. They should not possess any technology we do not understand. Zeph-9 spoke calmly from their floating platform. Perhaps we have underestimated human capabilities. Their species has shown remarkable adaptability and creativity in the past. Adaptability does not explain this, Kixvel replied sharply. The energy readings suggest they have solved problems that our scientists have worked on for millennia. This represents a fundamental shift in galactic power balance. On Earth, Admiral Lisa Hayes studied the classified reports from Elena Rodriguez's team. Lisa had commanded Earth Space Forces for 15 years and had negotiated with aliens throughout her career. She knew how the Council operated and understood the threat that humanity now faced. Dr. Rodriguez, Lisa said during their secure video conference, how many people know about your breakthrough? Only my immediate team and Captain Morrison, Elena replied. We've kept the circle very small as you requested. Good. I want you to accelerate the program immediately. If the aliens detected our test flight, They'll be planning their response. We need more ships equipped with your drive system before they act. Elena nodded. We can have 5 more vessels ready within a month. But Admiral, we need to discuss the implications of what we've created. This technology could change everything. I understand the implications, Doctor. The question is whether the aliens will allow us to keep it. Back on Kepler Prime, the debate continued. Representative Quinn Theta of the Aquatic Collective raised concerns about technological stability. The aquatic species had experienced devastating wars in their past due to rapid technological advancement. Rapid technological development often leads to civilizational collapse. Quinn Theta bubbled through their water-filled communication system. Perhaps the humans require guidance to prevent such an outcome. Guidance or control? Zeph 9 asked pointedly. There is a difference between offering assistance and demanding submission. Kixville activated another holographic display, showing human star charts and military capabilities. The humans currently operate 17 space stations and 43 interplanetary vessels. Their military forces are limited but growing rapidly. If they apply their new technology to weapons development, they could pose a significant threat. The Shard Collective representative, Crystal Mind 7, vibrated at frequencies that the translation system converted to speech. This species has developed independently of our guidance. Their technology follows different principles than our own. We must determine whether this represents opportunity or danger. Romkar stood and addressed the chamber. The Varrock hegemony believes immediate action is necessary. We should dispatch monitoring fleets to human space and demand full disclosure of their technological capabilities. That could be interpreted as an act of aggression, Zeph 9 warned. The humans have not threatened any council member. Taking hostile action against them could destabilize the entire region. Speaker Thane Alpha called for order, as the debate grew more heated. Representatives argued about human intentions, technological sharing agreements, and the precedent this situation might set for other developing species. Meanwhile, Captain Jake Morrison was training a new group of pilots at the Nevada facility. The pilots selected for the program were the best humanity had to offer. Each had extensive experience with experimental aircraft and spacecraft. The drive system is unlike anything you've flown before, Jake explained to the group. It doesn't push the ship through space. Instead, it compresses space in front of us and expands it behind us. We're riding a wave in spacetime itself. Captain Alex Turner, Jake's former wingman, raised his hand. What are the risks? If something goes wrong, what happens to the ship? Honestly, we don't know, Jake admitted. Dr. Rodriguez's calculations suggest we should be safe, but we're in uncharted territory. That's why we're starting with short jumps and building up to longer distances. The training program was intense. Pilots learned to operate gravitational field controls, monitor space-time distortion readings, and handle emergency procedures that had never been tested. Elena's team worked closely with the pilots to understand how the human mind responded to FTL travel, using their new method. On Kepler Prime, the council session entered its second day. 12 species debated the future of human-alien relations while monitoring reports from their intelligence networks. Some representatives called for immediate intervention, while others advocated for patience and observation. We face a fundamental question, Speaker Thane Alpha announced. Do we treat humanity as an equal partner in galactic civilization, or do we view them as a potential threat requiring management? Kixville responded immediately. They are too young and unpredictable to be considered equals. Their rapid technological advancement suggests they lack the wisdom that comes with centuries of gradual development. Age does not always correlate with wisdom, Zeph 9 countered. Perhaps fresh perspectives could benefit our civilization. The debate would continue for days, but the underlying tension was clear. Humanity had upset the established order through pure innovation. The question was whether the galaxy's older civilizations would accept this change or fight to maintain their dominance. In her laboratory on Earth, Elena Rodriguez continued working on improvements to her drive system. She sensed that time was running short. Soon humanity would need to demonstrate whether they deserved their place among the stars or would be forced back into isolation. 3 ships hung motionless in the dark space between Jupiter and Saturn. Their hulls were black and angular, designed to absorb sensor scans rather than reflect them. The Varrock stealth vessels had been watching human activities for 2 weeks, gathering intelligence on Earth's military capabilities and technological developments. Commander Grakvel studied the holographic displays in his command center. The Varrock had perfected the art of surveillance over centuries of conquest. They knew how to watch without being detected, how to gather information without revealing their presence. Until today. "Sir, we're detecting an energy signature approaching from the asteroid belt," reported his sensor operator. "Configuration matches human experimental vessels." Grakvel examined the readings. A small human ship was moving toward their position at conventional speeds. The vessel appeared to be conducting a routine patrol of the outer system. It showed no signs of detecting the Varrock ships. "Maintain stealth protocols," Grakvel ordered. "Let them pass." Captain Alex Turner sat in the pilot seat of the human patrol ship Aurora. He had been conducting standard sweeps of the outer system for 3 days, checking for asteroid mining operations and monitoring space traffic. The mission was supposed to be routine, but Alex had learned to trust his instincts during his years as a test pilot. "Danny, are you picking up anything unusual on sensors?" Alex asked his co-pilot, Lieutenant Danny Parker. "Nothing specific," Danny replied, checking his instruments. "But there's some kind of interference near grid section 77 Alpha. Could be natural phenomena from Jupiter's magnetic field." Alex had flown with Danny for 2 years. The younger pilot was fresh out of the academy but had excellent technical skills. More importantly, he paid attention to details that others might miss. "Let's take a closer look," Alex decided. "Set course for the interference pattern." As the Aurora changed direction, Grakvel realized they had a problem. The human ship was heading directly toward their position. The Varrock stealth systems were designed to fool long-range sensors, but they became less effective at close distances. "Sir, should we withdraw?" asked his tactical officer. Grakvel considered his options. His orders were to observe human activities without being detected. Withdrawing now might expose their presence, but allowing the humans to get too close risked discovery anyway. "Hold position," he decided. "Prepare weapon systems, but do not target the human vessel unless they demonstrate hostile intent." The Aurora approached the area where the Varrock ships waited. Alex studied his sensor readings carefully. The interference pattern was stronger now, but it didn't match any natural phenomena he had encountered before. "Danny, run a full spectrum analysis on that interference," Alex ordered. "Something doesn't feel right about this." Danny worked at his console, adjusting sensor configurations and filtering background radiation. After several minutes, he looked up with concern. "Alex, this isn't natural interference. The pattern suggests artificial generation. There's something out there, and it's trying to hide from our sensors." Alex felt his pulse quicken. If there were hidden ships in human space, they were either alien vessels or unknown human military assets. Either possibility was worth investigating. "Send an encrypted message to Admiral Hayes," Alex instructed. "Tell her we may have found uninvited guests in the outer system." Grakvel watched as the human ship continued its approach. His sensor operator reported that the humans were actively scanning their position with increasingly sophisticated detection methods. "Sir, they're using quantum resonance scans now," the operator reported. "Our stealth systems cannot hide from that technology at this range." "How do humans possess quantum resonance scanners?" Grakvel demanded. "That technology is restricted to council members." The answer was that humans had developed the technology independently, just as they had developed their revolutionary FTL drive. But Grakvel didn't know this. In his mind, the humans must have stolen or been given advanced alien technology. "Sir, they've detected us," the tactical officer announced. "The human vessel is changing course to intercept." Alex saw the 3 ships appear on his screen as their stealth systems failed. The vessels were clearly alien in design, with angular hulls and weapon systems that looked far more advanced than anything in Earth's arsenal. "Danny, battle stations," Alex ordered, "and get me a direct line to Earth Defense Command." The Aurora was not a warship. It carried light defensive weapons and basic shields, designed for protection against asteroids and space debris, rather than military combat. But Alex had no intention of running from aliens who were spying on his home system. "Unknown vessels. This is Captain Alex Turner of the Earth Patrol ship Aurora," he broadcast on all frequencies. "You are in violation of human territorial space. Identify yourselves and state your intentions." Grakvel faced a decision that would determine the course of future human-alien relations. His orders were to avoid detection, but that option was no longer available. He could withdraw and hope the humans would not pursue, or he could try to intimidate them into silence. "Human vessel, You will withdraw immediately and report nothing of this encounter. Grackveld transmitted. Interfere with our operations and face the consequences. Alex smiled grimly at the alien's response. The threat only confirmed his suspicions about why they were hiding in human space. Negative alien vessel. You will identify yourselves and explain your presence in our system, or I will consider you hostile. The standoff lasted for 30 seconds before Grackveld made his choice. He could not allow news of Varrock surveillance operations to reach Earth's government. The humans would have to be eliminated. Fire, he ordered. The Varrock ships opened fire with plasma cannons and particle beams. The Aurora's shields flared as they absorbed the incoming energy. Alex threw his ship into evasive maneuvers, using the asteroid belt for cover while returning fire with his limited weapons. Danny, how long until Earth defense responds to our signal? Admiral Hayes is dispatching ships now, but they're at least 6 hours away. Danny replied while managing the ship's defensive systems. Alex realized they were on their own. The Aurora could not outfight 3 Varrock warships, but maybe they could survive long enough to gather intelligence about alien capabilities. The battle raged through the asteroid belt for 20 minutes. Alex used every trick he knew to keep his ship intact while the Varrock vessels hunted him through the floating rocks. The Aurora's sensors recorded everything, from weapon frequencies to shield configurations to tactical doctrines. Finally, Alex saw an opportunity. One of the Varrock ships had moved too close to a large asteroid while trying to get a clear shot. Alex accelerated directly toward the enemy vessel, firing all weapons and then pulling away at the last second. The Varrock ship, unable to match Alex's maneuver, crashed into the asteroid and exploded. The remaining 2 vessels immediately withdrew, not wanting to risk further losses against what they now recognized as a skilled opponent. When Admiral Hayes reviewed the battle recordings, she understood that everything had changed. The aliens were not just watching humanity anymore. They were actively working against human interests. Dr. Rodriguez, she said during their emergency conference, how quickly can you complete the 2nd-generation drive system? 2 weeks, maybe less if we skip some safety tests, Elena replied. Skip them. Captain Turner's encounter proves we're running out of time. The aliens know we're a threat now, and they're going to act. Meanwhile, on Kepler Prime, the Council received Grackveld's report about the encounter. The loss of a Varrock warship to a human patrol craft sent shockwaves through the assembly. If a lightly armed human vessel could destroy a military ship, what could their new FTL-equipped vessels accomplish? The hunt had begun, but the predators were discovering that their prey had teeth. The emergency session of the United Nations Security Council convened in the underground bunker beneath Geneva. President Maria Santos of the United States sat at the head of the table, surrounded by world leaders who had been briefed on humanity's first contact with hostile alien forces. The situation is clear, Admiral Hayes explained to the assembled leaders. The Galactic Council has issued an ultimatum. They demand we surrender our FTL technology within 72 hours, or they will intervene to protect galactic stability. President Santos studied the translation of the alien message. The language was polite, but the threat was unmistakable. Humanity would either submit to alien control or face military action. What are our options? Asked Prime Minister Chen of the European Federation. We have 12 ships equipped with Dr. Rodriguez's drive system, Admiral Hayes replied. 8 more will be ready within the week. Against the combined fleets of the Galactic Council, our numbers are insufficient for direct confrontation. President Santos had spent 30 years in politics and had never faced a decision with such far-reaching consequences. Surrender would mean the end of human independence. Resistance might mean the end of human civilization. Admiral, in your professional opinion, what are our chances in a military conflict? In a conventional war, we would lose, Hayes admitted. But our FTL technology gives us advantages they don't expect. We can strike where they don't anticipate and withdraw before they can respond. Dr. Elena Rodriguez joined the meeting via secure video link from her laboratory. She looked exhausted from weeks of non-stop work, but her eyes were bright with determination. Mr. President, Elena said, we've completed testing on the Mark II drive system. Our ships can now travel faster and more accurately than anything in the alien databases. More importantly, we can exit FTL at precise coordinates, something their technology cannot achieve. President Santos made her decision. We will not surrender our independence to alien powers. Admiral Hayes, implement your contingency plan. 3 star systems away, Captain Jake Morrison floated in the command center of the Terra Nova. Around him, 11 other human ships hung motionless in space, their crews conducting final systems checks. Each vessel carried Elena's second-generation FTL drive and a carefully planned mission. All ships report. Ready, announced Commander Ryan Scott from the New York. Drive. Systems are charged and coordinates are locked. Jake studied the tactical display showing their targets. 12 Council space stations scattered across 3 different star systems. Each station served as a regional command center for alien military forces. The plan was audacious in its simplicity. Remember, this is a demonstration, not an attack, Jake reminded his fleet. We deliver our message and withdraw. No shots fired unless absolutely necessary. The human ships engaged their FTL drive simultaneously. Space-time warped around each vessel as they disappeared from their starting position. The journey that would take alien ships hours to complete was finished in minutes. At Kepler Prime Station, Ambassador Kixvell was addressing the Council about final preparations for the human intervention when alarms began sounding throughout the facility. His aide rushed to his side with an urgent message. Sir, human vessels have appeared simultaneously at all 12 regional command stations, the aide reported breathlessly. They bypassed our early warning systems completely. The council chamber erupted in shocked voices as representatives processed this information. How could primitive human ships appear at multiple locations across the galaxy simultaneously? Their own fleets required careful coordination and hours of travel time to achieve such positioning. Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Terra Nova as it hung in space directly, outside Kepler Prime's main docking bay. Through the viewports, he could see alien ships scrambling to respond to the unexpected arrival. This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Earth starship Terra Nova, he broadcast on all council frequencies. I carry a message from the people of Earth to the Galactic Council. Inside the station, Kixvell listened to the human transmission with growing amazement. The human ship had appeared without any advance warning, completely bypassing the station's sophisticated detection systems. The people of Earth reject the Council's ultimatum, Jake continued. We will not surrender our technology or our independence to alien powers. Humanity seeks peaceful relations with all species, but we will not be subjugated. At the Varrock military station in the Rigel system, Commander Romkar stared at the human ship that had materialized next to his command center. The vessel was smaller than his flagship but had achieved something his best pilots could not duplicate. How did they penetrate our defenses? He demanded of his tactical officer. Sir, they didn't penetrate anything. They simply appeared. Our sensors show no sign of conventional FTL arrival. They must be using completely unknown technology. Similar scenes played out at 10 other locations, human ships delivering the same message while demonstrating capabilities that challenged every assumption about technological development and military strategy. Zeph-9 of the Andromedan Republic watched from their station near the galactic rim as the human ship Boston hung motionless outside their command center. Unlike other council members, Zeph-9 felt admiration rather than fear. Magnificent, Zeph-9 said to their aide. They have turned our own surveillance network against us. Every major command station is being watched by human vessels that can strike or withdraw at will. The demonstration lasted exactly 30 minutes. Then, as suddenly as they had arrived, the human ships vanished. They returned to Earth space without firing a single shot, but their message was clear. Humanity possessed technology that made conventional military responses obsolete. In the council chamber, Speaker Thane Alpha called for order as representatives argued frantically about their response options. The human demonstration had revealed the council's vulnerability in stark terms. How do we fight an enemy that can appear anywhere without warning? Demanded the Shard Collective representative. Our defensive strategies assume we can detect approaching threats. Kixvell struggled to maintain his composure as he addressed the council. The humans have demonstrated superior technology, but they are still vastly outnumbered. We can overwhelm them through sheer force. At what cost? Zeph-9 asked pointedly. If they can appear at any of our installations without warning, how many ships will we lose before we locate their home fleet? Romkar stood and pounded his fist on his delegation's table. The Varrock hegemony refuses to show weakness to a primitive species. We should attack Earth directly and end this threat. And if they use their technology to evacuate their population before we arrive? Zeph-9 countered. What if they establish hidden colonies throughout the galaxy? We could face a guerrilla war lasting centuries. Back on Earth, President Santos received reports from all 12 ship captains. The demonstration had proceeded flawlessly. More importantly, intelligence gathered during the mission revealed alien military capabilities and response times. Dr. Rodriguez, the president said during their debrief, your technology has given us leverage we never expected to possess. But leverage is only useful if we know how to use it. Elena nodded. The aliens are debating their response now. Some will want to attack immediately, while others will advocate for negotiation. We need to convince the moderates that cooperation serves their interest better than conflict. Admiral Hayes reviewed the intelligence data from the mission. The alien fleets are powerful, but rely on predictable tactics and centralized command structures. Our mobility advantage is even greater than we calculated. What about their response time? President Santos asked. Slow, Hayes replied. Their fastest ships took over an hour to respond to our appearance. We can strike and withdraw long before they mobilize effective resistance. The demonstration had achieved its primary objective. The Galactic Council now understood that humanity would not surrender without a fight, and that such a fight would be far more costly than they had anticipated. In space stations across the galaxy, alien military commanders studied recordings of human ship movements and tried to develop countermeasures for technology they did not understand. Some began to wonder if the young species from Earth might teach the older civilizations new ways of thinking about warfare and diplomacy. The next move belonged to the Council, but humanity had proven they would not be easy prey. The Council chamber on Kepler Prime had never been so quiet. For the first time in galactic history, the representatives sat in complete silence as they processed the implications of humanity's demonstration. Speaker Thane Alpha studied the faces of delegates from 12 different species, reading expressions that ranged from anger to amazement to fear. Ambassador Zeph 9 broke the silence first. Honored colleagues, we face a fundamental choice. We can continue to view humanity as a threat to be contained, or we can recognize them as a new partner in galactic civilization. Kixvel's four arms gestured dismissively. You speak of partnership with a species that humiliated our military forces. They have shown no respect for established order. They have shown respect for life, Zeph 9 countered. Their ships could have destroyed our command stations instead of delivering messages. They chose demonstration over destruction. Ramkar of the Varrock hegemony stood and addressed the chamber. The humans possess dangerous technology. Every moment we delay gives them more time to build ships and prepare defenses. We should strike now while we still have numerical superiority. Crystal Mind 7 of the Shard Collective vibrated at frequencies that translated to careful consideration. The Varrock speak of numerical superiority, but numbers mean little if we cannot target our enemies. Human technology makes our conventional tactics obsolete. Speaker Thane Alpha recognized the truth in these words. The Voidwalkers had survived for millennia by adapting to changing circumstances. Perhaps we should examine what the humans actually want before deciding how to respond to them. On Earth, President Santos convened her cabinet to discuss the Council's response. Intelligence reports suggested the aliens were divided between those who wanted immediate military action and those who preferred negotiation. Admiral Hayes, what is your assessment of our position? President Santos asked. We've achieved strategic parity through technological superiority, Hayes replied. The aliens have more ships, but our mobility advantage neutralizes their numbers. However, we cannot maintain this advantage indefinitely. Eventually, they will develop countermeasures. Dr. Elena Rodriguez participated in the meeting from her expanded laboratory facility. Her team had grown from 12 scientists to over 300 as the government poured resources into FTL research. We're already working on third-generation drive systems, Elena reported. But the Admiral is correct. Our advantage is temporary unless we can establish peaceful relations with the Council. President Santos turned to her Secretary of State, a veteran diplomat named Robert Kane. Bob, what are our options for opening negotiations? The Andromedans have sent unofficial messages expressing interest in dialogue, Kane replied. Ambassador Zeph 9 appears to represent a moderate faction within the Council. We could use them as intermediaries. Meanwhile, Captain Jake Morrison was preparing for what might be the most important mission of his career. He had been selected to serve as Earth's first ambassador to the Galactic Council, a position that required both military experience and diplomatic skills. Jake, Admiral Hayes said during his final briefing. Your job is to convince the aliens that humanity deserves equal treatment. You're not asking for permission to exist. You're informing them that we exist and intend to continue existing. Jake nodded. What about technology sharing? They're going to want access to our FTL research. Dr. Rodriguez will provide you with selected information that demonstrates our capabilities without revealing critical details. We share enough to prove our advancement, not enough to eliminate our advantages. The Terra Nova departed Earth carrying Jake and a small diplomatic team. Their destination was Kepler Prime, where Jake would address the Galactic Council directly. The journey that once would have taken weeks was completed in hours using Elena's drive system. As Jake's ship approached the massive space station, he marveled at the engineering accomplishment it represented. Kepler Prime was larger than most cities, housing millions of beings from dozens of different species. The station had been neutral ground for galactic diplomacy for over 1,000 years. In the council chamber, representatives gathered to hear humanity's first official address. Many had never seen a human before. Jake walked to the center of the chamber, acutely aware that his words might determine the future of his species. Honored members of the Galactic Council, Jake began, I am Captain Jake Morrison, representing the people of Earth. We come before you not as supplicants seeking admission to your civilization, but as equals offering partnership. Kixvel interrupted immediately. You speak of equality, yet your species is barely 3 centuries old. What right do you have to claim equal status with civilizations that span millennia? Jake smiled calmly. With respect, Ambassador Kixvel, age does not determine capability. Our FTL technology proves that innovation matters more than tradition. We offer fresh perspectives that could benefit all council members. He activated a holographic display showing human technological achievements. The images demonstrated not just FTL drives, but advances in energy production, material science, and computer systems. Many developments had been achieved independently of alien influence. How do we know you will use these technologies responsibly? Asked Quinn Theta of the Aquatic Collective. The same way you evaluate any species, Jake replied. Judge us by our actions, not our age. We could have used our FTL advantage to launch surprise attacks on your worlds. Instead, we chose to deliver messages and seek dialogue. Zeph-9 spoke from their floating platform. The human ambassador raises valid points. Perhaps we have been too quick to judge based on preconceptions rather than evidence. The debate continued for hours. Jake answered questions about human intentions, technological capabilities, and government structure. He presented proposals for trade agreements, scientific collaboration, and conflict resolution protocols. During a recess, Crystal Mind 7 approached Jake privately. The Shard Collective representative was curious about human research methods. Your species achieved in decades what required centuries for others, Crystal Mind 7 observed. What allows such rapid advancement? Jake considered the question carefully. We approach problems differently. Where other species might follow established paths, humans often look for completely new solutions. We call it thinking outside the box. This outside-the-box thinking could prove valuable, Crystal Mind 7 admitted. Perhaps collaboration would benefit both our species. When the session resumed, Speaker Thane Alpha called for a formal vote on human status within galactic civilization. The proposal was simple. Recognize humanity as an independent species with full rights to self-governance and technological development. The vote was close. 7 species supported the proposal, 4 opposed it, and 1 abstained. By the slimmest possible margin, humanity gained recognition as an equal member of galactic civilization. Kixvel accepted the decision with obvious reluctance. The Zenthari Empire acknowledges this vote, but we reserve the right to monitor human activities for signs of aggressive expansion. Monitoring is acceptable, Jake replied diplomatically, as long as it is mutual. We reserve the right to monitor alien activities in human space as well. The negotiations concluded with the signing of the Kepler Accords, establishing formal diplomatic relations between Earth and the Galactic Council. Trade agreements were signed, scientific exchange programs were established, and protocols for peaceful conflict resolution were adopted. 6 months later, Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood in her new laboratory aboard Orbital Station Alpha, humanity's first deep space research facility. Through the viewports, she could see alien vessels arriving for the first joint scientific conference in galactic history. Her team was presenting research on dimensional barrier manipulation, the theoretical foundation for their next breakthrough. Early calculations suggested they might be able to access parallel universes, opening entirely new frontiers for exploration. "Elena," said her research partner Kevin, "do you think the aliens are ready for what we're working on next?" Elena smiled as she watched a Zinthari science vessel dock with their station. "Probably not, but that's never stopped us before." Captain Jake Morrison had accepted a permanent position as Earth's ambassador to the Galactic Council. His office on Kepler Prime overlooked the diplomatic quarter where representatives from 50 species worked together to maintain galactic peace. Admiral Hayes restructured Earth's military forces to serve as both defensive units and exploration fleets. Human ships now patrolled trade routes alongside alien vessels, and joint training exercises had become routine. The transformation had not been without challenges. Some alien species continued to view humanity with suspicion, while some humans resented sharing the galaxy with non-human intelligences. But progress was being made, one diplomatic meeting and scientific collaboration at a time. In her final report to President Santos, Admiral Hayes summarized the changes that had swept across human civilization. 1 year ago, we were isolated in our solar system, dependent on alien technology and permission for basic space travel. Today, we are partners in a galactic community, contributing our own innovations while learning from species with thousands of years of experience.